So, just out of curiosity, is this person all gas no brakes? Is he in character? Like, is this who he is? Like, or I don't know. Do you ever get the vibe that like he's in character? He's in character. Okay. I thought he was being genuine. I'm sure it's an exaggerated version of himself. Oh. Having we watched on the stream? Yeah, but I didn't know like if he was if he was in character or if that's the real him. Okay, fine.
Make change a virtue, then the things that are coming up the pike wouldn't have to happen because they're all going to be bad.
What's coming up the pike right now that concerns you the most?
Oh, I mean, probably the end of democracy as we know it, and that kind of thing, as we've known it, as I've known it throughout my life.
Who do you think is spearheading the end of democracy?
Oh, there's no question. Well, I mean, democracy in the American dream. I'm talking about free speech and like all the things that we know, or like free, like real elections, the ability for people to make a livelihood for themselves, or make a free enterprise, free market economy. The thing that like allows us to become to make to be Amazon or Google or Walmart, all these brilliant innovations that get so huge and they become like almost
capitalism. Is he a
monoliths and
temporarily embarrassed billionaire?
bigger than countries. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what this country has allowed people to do, and I think it's the best thing about it. So that's going to be gone because people are going to clamp down on rich people.
Rich people?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're jealous. I don't know, because they're I don't want to say socialist, but like that's because you can have a Google come out of France. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, you would or an Amazon come out of France. Would never happen because the government would appropriate it.
So what do you think is turning people socialist?
Oh, they don't. They're like jealous of rich people, and they hate Donald Trump, and they don't even know what they're doing. I mean, I think it's young people. I think it's young people that haven't made anything with their lives. So it's easy to sort of like be afraid about what to do with your life.
Yeah.
And so, there's that saying that's like, if you're a conservative under 30, you've got no heart. If you're a conservative, if you're a Democrat under 30, you have no brain. No, it's the opposite way. It's the opposite. Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. Don't trip.
No, but it's the idea that as you get older, you become you get more conservative because you have things, but people that don't have things obviously want things to be shared.
Right.
So I mean, I understand, but
what are your thoughts on Trump?
I love him. I'm gay for him.
Why?
I think he's my fearless leader, and he's taken up he's an indictment on everything.
This is actually really good because like we're literally getting into the mind of your run-of-the-mill Trump supporter, and you get a little taste of their mental faculties coupled with their line of reasoning as to why they vehemently support him. It's good, chat. Everyone, this is actually good. We're gonna take this moment to learn. Hey, Jose. Karl Marx is jealous of Trump. Yep.
bullshit in the world.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of corruption do you see him as fighting?
I just think that I see everywhere around me. I see the media as being this, this is not just one person. I mean, this is like a whole thing against one person. Mm-hmm. And that should give you an indication about, about who's really evil. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have that much power. He's just a person. He's just a president. He's been in there for 4 years. Mm-hmm. You don't even become a professional. They say that it takes 10,000 hours. Anybody that works at something for 10,000 hours becomes a professional. It's like, well, that works out to about 9 to 5 days a week for 4 years. By the time a president knows what they're doing is when they're pretty much going on their way out.
Right.
So our situation, being a president is always like a brand new thing. It's like giving the keys to the car to like a 4-year-old.
Right.
And that's how we keep it, from corrupting itself. Mm-hmm. So there's nobody has any that much power. Mm-hmm. But the president has power, but not enough to call him a fascist or dictator or anything. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's because we have checks and balances, right? That's like one of the few pillars of our government, foundational to our democracy and our process, that allows us to not give one branch of government more power over another. That includes term limits. That is the cornerstone of our democracy at this point. This guy wants an authoritarian act.
What's really going on is that, he wasn't supposed to be president. As far as the establishment is concerned, the establishment is reeling from losing its power because it's had it, for at least 20, 25 years.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, as a member of New York's kind of finance elite, what makes you see Donald Trump as not a part of the establishment? I'm not challenging.
Oh, he's
you,
not.
I'm just
He's not. He's not part of the establishment. I think Donald Trump is a
wannabe elitist who was a Washington outsider. That's what Donald Trump was. He was a wannabe elitist. He had ties to Wall Street. He had an empire that he inherited based in New York. So yes, as part of the wannabe oligarchy, he did have status as a power broker that tended to benefit from the offerings from the government. Seeing as though a lot of corporate control has been granted to the oligarchs by the federal government. So yeah, of course, Donald Trump was a beneficiary of this economic system that tends to allow him to have as much corporate financial control and freedom as possible. When it comes to where Donald Trump's outsider status came from, he was outside of the Washington establishment. That's why he was able to say confidently, "I'll drain the swamp." Because he had no internal ties, right? In the way that a lot of other careerist politicians do have those close institutional ties or have worked directly in Washington for the vast majority of their political career. So yeah, Donald Trump was definitely part of an institution, an insider, and had institutional power in some ways. He also had the benefit of being a self-proclaimed outsider, because it was his way of spinning and deterring away from the fact that he's never worked in politics a day in his goddamn life. He knows nothing about our political institutions, our way of governing, our political system at large, And so he used that, he rebranded. It was just a way to rebrand the fact that he had no political experience. That was just a really fancy way of saying he's an outsider. Let's use that to your advantage. He's not corrupted by years of towing the line for Washington establishments of either party.
He has colleagues. He's got peers in Wall Street. They're all rich, super rich. And I think that I think he was just, looking around him, wondering why his buddies and rich friends were all donating money to a party that basically didn't have their best interest at heart at all. I mean, the Democratic Party is such a totally, it's so against it's really it really has the effect of basically wanting to punish people that are too greedy, supposedly. Right. That's their main motivation. Their check on greed. Well, it's the greed is actually what is preserved. The real greed, you know what I'm saying? It's not the problem isn't that people get too rich. It's that people that it's not that like people that are rich are stealing money from the poor people.
Yeah, they are.
It's not like that. That's not the way it works.
Yeah, yes, it is. That's literally what it is. They steal from poor people in multiple ways. First, wage theft is 100% the number one way that the rich steal from the poor, by not paying them their adequate wage, by extracting their surplus value and never paying them an adequate wage based on the amount of productivity that they steal from their labor. Number two, the fact that they do not pay their fair share of taxes means that they are not putting money back into a system that is to the detriment of those most in need of government programs. So by not paying your fair share of taxes and using all of the available loopholes, whether it be offshore accounts, writing off dividends, whatever the fuck you do, you are not paying your share of the taxes that are helping to fund these universal programs. That means that those who are in need, like we talked about earlier, chat, Section 8 housing voucher recipients, HUD just can't drum up the money to fully fund their housing first vouchers. So what happens? Only a finite amount of vouchers are issued on a yearly basis. Could you imagine if maybe the rich paid their fair share of taxes? Maybe we wouldn't have to worry about things like, I don't know, coming up short when it comes to offering subsidized housing to those who are considered low-income tenants. Sorry. Oof. This guy's making me mad, chats. I don't like him. I don't like him. He's making me mad too. It's probably in his class interest to support Trump. Probably not for long though. I don't know, he might be making a couple mil. And yeah, maybe he sees the benefit of, finding any available loophole so he's not paying as much in taxes. Maybe he doesn't want to have to relinquish any of his hard-earned cash to help pay for social programs. His label dropped him, I think. Hey, to be fair, most people would sell out their neighbors of given the opportunity for what? Sell out the neighbors for what?
The fact that somebody can get rich should be a signal that anybody can get rich.
Right.
And the more rich people that there are, the better.
That's not true.
But I think that a lot of people who
That's
disagree.
not true. That's not true. The whole point of a competitive market means that not everyone has the opportunity. Competition in a tight-knit market makes it really difficult for anybody to get rich. Do you know how much luck is part of this process? Especially whenever you are, one of the reasons why it's so hard to succeed is that you have these big mega oligopolies who have already gone through the process of mergers and acquisitions that eat up the smaller competition. So it's becoming ever more increasingly difficult to be able to compete in any market of any sector in this economy. It's like he's not thinking. It seems like he got this assignment for debate team and didn't prepare. Yeah, he probably has not put a lot of thought into this, honestly. You can tell that he has never sat down to really ground his moral principles, right? This is one of the worst class analysis I've ever heard in my life. If you can even call that.
That would point to the fact that most rich people come from a rich lineage, so there's not much chance for just starter entrepreneurship.
There's no rich. There's really.
No, I'm not saying all people, but that's how they feel on the left. Is that?
Yeah, but that's how they feel. But that they're wrong. I mean, like we know that they're wrong because people come to this country with nothing and they do stuff.
But generational wealth certainly is favored on like the white landowning side.
Who cares? I'm just saying. Like the point is this: it's not going to last that long. I mean, if you inherit wealth from your family, great. You're set up. You're fine. Awesome. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
You're probably not gonna. If you get married, awesome. If you have kids, awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully they don't have to do anything either.
Right.
Like that's the point is that you inherit money, and that's how you fucking it's passed down from generation to generation. If you want to take that away, you want to take away like inheritance.
But the idea is that if you follow that inheritance up and up and up to like the great great grandparent of a current like rich Yale student,
great grandparent. I mean, money is like the Commonwealth in England is pretty old. I mean, you had the royal family that's been basically carrying on their own lineage and their own, inheriting their own wealth for that long.
But I mean, do you feel like it's unfair in a sense for rich people to not be taxed more than the average person?
No, they do.
But I mean,
they do.
Yeah, of course. But
I'm saying so they do already.
Yeah.
Is that the issue? The issue is really that like there are Democrats. The real people that get screwed over. Are the middle class, right?
Yeah. Do you think there is a middle class anymore?
Yeah.
Where?
I think it's here. I mean, I think that that trickle down economics is a real thing. It's absolutely a real thing. We have amenities at our disposal here that like our parents didn't have. I mean, like that's not because we because we're able to.
It's literally the exact opposite. Everything that he's saying, it's the exact opposite. We know at this point there were far more amenities for the boomers and even Gen Xers than millennials. The 2008 recession made it so we will accumulate about 10% less than what our parents were able to accumulate simply because we entered the workforce in one of the worst economic recessions in American history. We do not have the opportunity for a low interest loan for a mortgage. Amenities, millennials cannot enter the housing market because amenities such as low interest mortgages are no longer available for us. We don't have disposable income because wages have been stagnant over the last 30 years. The cost of living continues to rise. The cost of education has increased threefold. Same as housing. It's literally the exact opposite. We literally have to take out lines of credit to be able to pay off our rent. Good night, Ma Q. What amenities could you be talking about? Millennials are the first generation to earn less than the previous? Yeah. Yeah.
Live in LA. That's because phones have gotten cheaper, and because we're taking because of the inventions that have been allowed to, the inventors have been allowed to make their money and to invent, and then it gets the standard of living goes up.
Okay.
It's automatic.
Cheap phones. The commodification of gadgets. And yes, they have become crucial in our everyday lives. They are everyday services that we think that we need. And yes, they might be a little bit more affordable, but they're still really expensive to have. And they're designed to fall apart and need to be replaced every 2 years when our contract is up. Go figure. So, in all reality, yes, having a phone with the internet 24/7 is good, but it's kind of pushed us into this cycle of constantly consuming and consuming and consuming and consuming. And who does that help? Apple, Samsung. It just literally puts us in a perpetual cycle of consumerism. Who will be the first indie musician to go QAnon? I have my answer, but I want everyone else's. Oh, damn. Nice.
So the idea on the left of taxing the rich to bring more prosperity to the poor,
I think it's just stupid. It's just them basically they just want to like punish, because it feels good to punish people that have that work for what they do. Okay, and it's good to like sort of like also blame them for all your problems. That's it's just the easy way out. Okay, the point is that like if you want money, you can get it. You just gotta love it a little bit, and you gotta go get the money. And it's not gonna fall in your lap.
I'm not denying that anyone.
No, but people that don't love money and they think it's like an evil are just it's never gonna fall in your lap. Yeah, of course.
I mean, even the people who hate money the most use shit like iPhones. So I mean,
but I'm just saying. Yeah. Money is not gonna come to you if you hate it. Well, if you don't like money, and it's good that you don't, because it's good that you don't. There's only a few people that like money. Like honestly, like I think it's 99% of the people don't care about money. It's not like the biggest fucking deal. It doesn't make or break their. That's a great thing.
Do you like money?
Oh my god, he's not mean.
I like money in this as much as I know that I need to survive, and so I I've made enough money that I actually don't have to think about it for a little while. I mean,
Right.
I mean that's I kind of like, I'm it's a race against time.
I like money too.
I mean, no, everybody, you should, you got it because it's not going to come to you.
It's nice to have it, but I guess I wonder, like, what do you like to spend money on when you have it?
I don't spend money. It accrues. It's easy for me to make money and just like actually like sit on it.
So what are you saving it for? You want to take a?
No, I'm just paying my rent. I mean, I don't have to. I think about it like in just very very practical terms. It's like, okay, if I'm getting if my rent is $2,000 for 12 months. I need to make $24,000 in order to not think about my rent for a year.
Yeah. Oh, I get you. But do you have any like a end of life sort of like financial goals? Like, is there something you want to do?
No.
You just want to have it?
No, I just want to not have to worry about my rent, so I can basically do what I want to do.
And what do you like to do?
Just fuck around.
Hell yeah.
Hang out in my underwear and watch movies, man. Like that's all it is.
Word.
It doesn't cost. You see that? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is that like it doesn't? It's not like. I mean, if you don't have a job, yeah, it's hard to fucking get your bearings.
For sure.
When you don't have a place to live, it's hard to find a job. All that stuff. Sure, I get it. But you gotta like. I mean, at a certain point, man, it's not. That's not it. That's not what the sort of like altruistic kind of like, sort of like bailing people out, bailing out the unfortunate, and all this kind of stuff. From, I mean that's you can't. Life is not fair.
So how do you think the hungry and homeless should be fed?
Well, they get fed. They've been fed.
If they can't get food today, right now.
If they can't get food, they're not going to live. They're going to just die. They're going to be like but they've been able to feed themselves enough so far. I mean, they're alive, aren't they?
Some of them, depending on where you're at.
I mean, they're all pretty old. They know how to get their food.
Where'd you grow up?
Here.
In LA? What part of LA are you from?
LA.
I've never seen somebody so disconnected from reality. It's almost like he's never given any thoughts to the plights of somebody who is less fortunate than him, less privileged than him. He really is just this physical manifestation of, I have gotten mine. Fuck you if you have not gotten yours. Even more disconnected than Trump and his press team. No, same, on brand. I just can't imagine this person. Obviously, I think you reach a point whenever you have a little money, your class interests realign. You want to preserve your wealth. If you lack class consciousness, if you lack empathy, if you lack a fundamental understanding of your own privilege, if you are leaning into your espoused worldview that you worked hard for your money and that you deserve your success, and that if you could succeed, then everyone can do what you have done, without understanding that every single person's life is different, and the amount of trauma and obstacles and barriers of entry that other people experience that this person might have never experienced is something that is absolutely lost on him. And it's absolutely painful for him to, maybe for the first time ever, consider what Andrew is bringing to his conversation, to the forefront of his conversation, evidencing that he has literally never given any thought to anyone else other than himself. He is this is an incredibly selfish person. You can tell that to be sure. Maybe he's feeling guilty. he's afraid of feeling guilty for making it, and he has to make himself believe that poverty is the fault of the poor. No, fuck that. We're not entertaining that idea.
Hey, just West LA, Hollywood.
This zone.
Yeah. So we used to have lots of
born
record
in
stores
Hollywood?
back then, but I took it for granted that they would always be here. So so it was for me. Luckily, I moved to the other side of the aisle.
Which is what?
Which is being an artist. And I outlived the record stores because they're pretty much gone.
Were you like a more liberal dude growing up, or
A little more liberal.
yeah, just being in kind of like the indie rock scene?
There's no scene here.
What do you mean?
There's no indie rock scene.
Okay, so where?
He's such a fucking
There's no indie
contrarian on the
rock
topic.
scene. I was not
everything
part
else.
of any scene here.
Okay.
I was a guy. I thought I liken it to being I was a weirdo. In my own mind, I didn't mind being different, and it wasn't. But it was a bigger deal to be. Well, it's a bigger deal to be different now, I'd say.
What do you mean?
I'd say it's a bigger deal to be different now. I know. I'm just saying no. I felt like I felt I was very disenfranchised, and very felt like I didn't. There was no future for me and all that kind of stuff.
Disenfranchised from what?
From everything, from normal life, from just the status quo and everything like that. So I felt, but I was very, very happy to not be a part of that. Like I would read about the people that were my parents' age, and it gave me hope for the future, because they were just people that just didn't do anything. They had the 60s revolution. They didn't fucking give a fuck about their lives. They dropped out of it. They dropped out. They had a party for many, many years, and then they grew up and got really, really full of themselves, and
Yeah, isn't that weird? I wish I lived in the 60s sometimes, man, just to be around during the late.
I mean, they're still living it up, man. I mean, they're still living it up.
Yeah, but I mean, like that post-California exodus of like hippies from that time, where'd they end up?
They ended up in the 80s. They ended up being the same people that fucking like fucking Reaganites. I mean, what I'm saying is
Really?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Hippies became conservatives.
Your Bidens, your Kamala Harris's, your Trumps. Trump was not a hippie. Let's put it that way.
Hell no. I think he's never drank before.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He was a guy that's like, that's how, and people are talking about him being him raping girls and having prostitutes. They just don't understand. That's just evilness. That's basically like brainwashing people.
But it's true. It's true.
But to see somebody that was like squeaky clean for that long and like managed to get through, straight out of the 50s right into the 80s or something like that, is pretty remarkable. But it's very rare. And
Donald Trump was literally caught in a hot mic moment saying that he walks up to women, grabs them by the pussy. He does it because he can. He can do whatever he wants because he's a celebrity. I don't even wait. Yeah. I feel like this is a bit. No, I think this person's serious.
Where did all the hippies go? Where did all the rebels go? They're like normal. That's what they're Democrats. They're basically they're sellouts for the most part. They're sellouts.
So what are your favorite things about Trump?
I mean, he's my hero. My favorite things about him are that he doesn't give up. He loves his country. He's not like letting he kind of like just doesn't let, he doesn't he doesn't let himself be blackmailed by these people. I mean, like the media is so unified against him, and he has so many people that hate him.
What about like Fox News? Are they kind of like they're pretty into him?
Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, Tucker and Hannity are pretty.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. I mean, just saying, but I'm just saying that, but Fox itself is Soros owned.
Yeah, but they still get more viewers than anybody else, and they're pro-Trump
because they're lapping up his audience. But like they're not like, but they're the establishment. Don't get.
But they're still pro-Trump. I mean, you
but
can't
they're not. But they're not.
But
What I'm saying is like they called Arizona, man.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like when push comes to shove, they're not on. They're the establishment. The establishment is unified against him. It's a Democratic cabal. It's the last. Like what I think that the Democrat. There's no trace of the Democrats anymore. Okay, like there's no party. There's no like kind of like place where they hang out, like a building where they hang out in Washington, where they do like all their kind of like paperwork and business and like no, it's gone, dude. Like the only trace of it, the only like remains of it are the media. The media's last trace of the establishment, that was there in power for 30 years before Trump, leading up to Trump. And I mean, they're all the way I see the Democratic Party is like it's like a street in Washington. It's got all these tents on it. There's like there was a big tent on the end of it, but now it's not there anymore. And none of these tents are there anymore, really, as of a couple of weeks ago.
Where did the Democrats
but up until
go?
then, there was all these tents with people with used to have their government jobs, and there's Clinton out at the edge of the block in the biggest tent with her husband, and everybody's coming out every day, and they're going like, "Hey, when are we going to go back? When do we get to move back into our office?" And then she's like, "I'm working on it. We're very soon, very very soon." That's what it is. And the media is just basically like the last, hint of the Democratic Party. They're not real. They're not real. There's a new.
Yeah, so the Democratic Party is a little siloed because you have this new insurgency within the Democratic Party. Not like insurgency like storming the Capitol building, attempting to siege it in an act of insurrection, but just like carving out a new wing of the Democratic Party. You have the Progressive Caucus, but the Democratic Party, by and large, still tends to uphold the status quo. And all of the Democrats who are right now in positions of power are somewhere on Capitol Hill. And they are in their buildings working, or they're in the Capitol working, and they are working alongside one another begrudgingly. And then those who have the most power, those in those seniority positions like Nancy Pelosi, for example, and Chuck Schumer, for example, they are the ones who are towing the line for the rest of the party and saying, hey, guess what? Not only are we supposed to be the foundational party that upholds the laws and principles of our two-party duopoly of a system, we are the ones who have to stand firmly and uphold the interests of bipartisanship and dual control over the government as a two-party system. We have to cheer on the Republicans to be a strong oppositional party. They have solidified their promises to give their people, their constituents, the bare minimum in exchange for status quo in what has become normal ways of functioning within the Democratic Party, which requires anyone who is a member of the Democratic Party working in Washington to obviously not be hanging out and working at the behest of Hillary Clinton. I don't know what kind of fantasy land this person is in right now, but Democrats, even though they have not held Donald Trump's feet to the fire nearly enough, it is not like they're off, out of sight, out of the line of sight. No. They're not off just gallivanting around. They're not out gallivanting around. They're unable to get anything done because of Republican gridlock. I don't even know what this person is even trying to say, what they're exactly alluding to. Making it seem like the Democrats have just like packed up and like they're nowhere to be found. It's like asinine. No, they are the ones who are the stable oppositional party to the Republicans. They're the ones who are upholding the interests of good old-fashioned bicameral policies in a bicameral legislature requiring bipartisanship and reaching across the aisle in order to negotiate legislative action. That's the Democrats' position. That's been the Democrats' position over the past 4 years. They have been willing to show up and sit down with the Republicans as the Republicans started to implode there at the end. What? Like, literally, Democrats are the one who are, like, showing up for dinner. Republicans are the party that are, like, standing the Democrats up and, like, saying, fuck you. Like, literally, Democrats are the ones who show up and try to play fair and play nice and negotiate and uphold bipartisanship. The fuck is this person even saying?
New Democratic Party now, it's been taken over by Kamala Harris, and there's a whole new crop. There's like the youngins. There's nobody in the room that we knew that was there anymore. The Clintons they're effectively.
I can't believe there's 11 more minutes of this video.
Kind of like, they're like high on some sort of like some, they're on some like really like they're shot up with like some steroids or something like that. Like they have like a whole new plan, the Great Reset, a whole new green kind of future. They're so militant about it, and they have this, and they're really not afraid to even use the word socialism anymore. It's like kind of like it's like post Bernie Sanders kind of thing.
What do you think their agenda is? This new left,
the Great Reset.
What's that?
A total one world government. One world government. They want to be able to control people and to control manufacture consent and to basically it's just a new feudalism kind of thing. It's like it'll be basically they want to have control and they never want to give it up again. So as long as they have control of the systems that are in place around the world at all times, they can regulate they can regulate the masses with either keeping them at bay with the media, so they can control them by sort of making people docile and bend over for them. Then that's good. But right now, what we have now is not far from that. What we have now is we have different nations. We've got different despotic leaders. We've got hidden powers. But ultimately, geopolitically, the world powers are China, U.S., and Russia. The U.S. represents the free market, and I'm sure China and Trump and Russia would like to get us off the block.
Trump,
they'd still want us there,
slip, you think?
obviously, but not as a world power.
So, what role does COVID play in all of this?
COVID was I believe was a coordinated effort to get the technocrats and the masses all around the world, all in line, to basically give up their rights and sort of start over, more or less, sort of redistribution of wealth. I think it's a perfect excuse. It's not going to end or anything like that. So that's the thing, is that it's going to be, if they can do it once, they're gonna ramp it up next time and do it even better. There's just gonna be a series of these things happening every once in a while. But that's what they're hoping. They want to get a coordinated effort, and they got that almost, because it's a World Health Organization, So the science community has basically infiltrated the tentacles of the upper deep state powers that be, the unholy alliance of technocrats around.
Now, who is the deep state? Who are these puppet masters?
China.
Could you imagine if the scientific community reached up, like took their little alien fingies and reached up their tentacles into the Rothsberger class of deep states power brokers who secretly control this world, right? And they like the science. This is the way that that he described it. That the scientific community, the science community, is that what he said? I think he said science community. The scientific community decided to rub elbows with the Illuminati, but instead of being like, hey, we're going to infiltrate you and we're going to find a way to commit biological warfare with COVID-19, because I'm assuming that's what he is trying to say. He just lacks the vocabulary to articulate what he means. What if the scientific community was like, hey, we are going to infiltrate and influence you to try to take COVID-19 seriously. And that's what's going to be your little project, Illuminati members. If you want control, maybe you should try to control whether or not we live or die by the year 2050. Yeah, science is the deep state now. Yeah. Way to fuck this up, scientific community. Look, you had the opportunity to get into the minds of the people who are really running the show. The puppet masters, if you will. You dropped the ball on climate change after all of the things that you've tried to do to scare us into not submission for a bad thing, but like give a fuck? How close are we to midnight? It's like 95% of you are saying climate change is real and it's irreparable if we don't do something about it. It's probably past the point of saving the planet, but still, maybe we should try anyway. We just wanted to spread our tentacles. Yeah, the doomsday, the doomsday clock. You know what I'm talking about? The fucking doomsday clock.
In China, whoever's in power, but they're not. I mean, they're not in agreement with each other, for more or less. I mean, like, but for instance, like any kind of any despots. I mean, I think the Communist Party in China, probably the deep state. I don't think there's a deep state in the States per se. I think that, like, you know, whoever the political parties that are in power have a very deep state capacity. But you know, the EU and you know, the Russian oligarchs and also the Middle East cabal.
So going back to COVID, do you plan to take this vaccine when it comes out?
Well, if I don't have it, then I don't need to, right? I mean, I feel like I'll get it if I take the vaccine.
Yeah, don't vaccines give you a little bit of it or something like that?
No,
Sounds like
not
it.
not the COVID
I mean, that's
vaccine.
usually what you fight
different.
fire with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll wait till I actually get it before I take the vaccine.
You talked about
No,
artificial intelligence. Is there a connection between
what? He like this like I find it so incredibly hard to believe this person is so ill-informed in every way, shape, and form. He knows nothing. Like everything that he has said thus far has just been objectively wrong. Like he literally like it's a reversal, and it's this reversal / negate of everything that is actually going on that he perceives to be the truth. Like, it's literally opposite day for this guy. I've never heard of him. I've never listened to his music. He was educated by YouTube comment sections.
The vaccine and AI?
I just think that, like, obviously, like, science has come out in Science American. The scientific community has come out in support of Biden. So that makes me have to question science.
All right, let's take this fucking energy up a little bit. You ready? All right, ready? Ready for energy blast? What the hell's going on, man?
Did we just start? Right?
We're starting right now.
We're starting over?
No, we're not starting over. We're just fucking blasting off. You ready?
I already blasted off.
Let's go.
Let's go. I already blasted off, man. I'm saying, like, I've been fucking canceled, dude. Like, I've been practically canceled. Cancel culture is the same thing as fucking the Democrats. I mean, like anybody, they're just like, you might even get canceled just for having me on this show.
So going back to the political thing, what is going on with the Democratic Party?
The Democratic Party is just a cabal of criminals.
What kind of crimes?
Like all crimes of conceit. They're completely.
The conceit's not a
crime. They're not honest people. They're people that, like, have a support group, so they feel galvanized.
He's literally not the perceived character flaws aren't crimes. He knows it's bullshit. Drug addict vibes, stooped hunchback.
Emboldened to have each one of them basically demonize their enemies. They have a huge bully pulpit to do that. They've got all the media. They've got, like, the status quo and culture as they see it. Of course, it's not real. Everybody here, anybody from Portland or Seattle would know that, like you guys. You wouldn't have moved to California if it was fucking paradise at Chaz, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
people were leaving California though, man.
Oh yeah, they're going to Arizona, right?
By the masses.
That's why Arizona's a blue state now.
So you think that Arizona was a blue state?
No, I'm saying it's a blue state now because people can't afford to live here.
But you just said you don't believe the election results.
I don't.
But do you believe Arizona was blue?
I don't believe I don't believe anybody's blue. I honestly, I think that like the whole thing is fucking rigged to fucking high heaven.
Do you think every state was red?
By and large, yes. Most of the counties, maybe some of the cities, maybe. But I don't believe. I think that it was actually a landslide. Okay, I mean, think about it. I mean, there's
honestly, if you look at the electoral college maps, it is a sea of red. That's the reason why the electoral college exists. Because if you look at the shaded maps, right? By county election results, you will see that yes, most counties by and large did vote for Donald Trump. But it is the number of people in concentrated populous areas like big cities that make up the vast majority of this country total. And they, by and large, voted for Joe Biden. So whenever you have pocketed, concentrated, populous cities with millions of people voting for Joe Biden, and it shows up as a speck of blue on a map compared to what is a sea of red, it might look like Donald Trump overwhelmingly won. Here. This is what, first 2016? Yeah, check this one. This. You see this, right? This is probably what he's talking about. If you see this map, broken down by county, everybody knows population density is a farce created by democratic cabal. And like, this is the shit that people see and they run with. It's the same energy as Trump supporters saying, listen, do you know how many more people showed up to a Trump rally compared to a Biden rally? For this reason, this is conclusive evidence that more people had to have shown up and voted for Donald Trump over Joe Biden in the general election. Americans bad at reading maps. This doesn't help. A 3D version of nice. Oh, nice. This is like the United States of apathy. We looked over that, where in all reality, the plurality of votes in the 2016 election went to non-voters. Kind of seems like it's on par with that. Maybe. I'll take a look at it. Maybe. Firefighter Ken, thank you for the follow.
If you take away Biden being like the number one, having more votes given to him because he's such an aspiring person, right? Mm-hmm. That's how inspiring he is. Everybody voted for him. So you're taking people that normally don't vote, who are inspired to vote because they hated Trump so much. Mm-hmm. That's what they want you to believe. That's what they want you to believe.
Oh, that's really the reason why people.
Do you see how that's bad thinking? Do you see how like the idea of compromising the integrity of a election, the idea that like, let's do mail-in voting.
Mm-hmm. But then I think a lot of people really don't like Trump. Like
I don't think the people that don't like Trump. I'm sure that they don't like Trump. There's a lot of people.
People hate that guy, dude.
But they don't really. They just say
dude, but even if people fucking hate him, dude.
They hate him because they like the attention, dude. I'm telling you, they don't hate him. They hate their father. Mm-hmm. They hate their parents. They hate any authority. They are anti-authoritarians.
Mm-hmm. Do you like authority?
I mean, listen, I don't like authority as much as anybody else, but I still acknowledge it.
Listen, the reason why so many people showed up and voted against Donald Trump and voted for Joe Biden was because they hate their parents. Because their parents are the closest thing to authoritarianism that they ever experienced. So people showed up, right, and voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. But actually, whenever I think about it, I do ascribe to the notion that this election was rigged, and that in all reality, more people showed up to vote for Donald Trump than Joe Biden, and we must cast doubt in the integrity of our electoral processes, that there had to have been some sort of rigging during the tabulation process. We should do away with our democracy and accept the terms of authoritarianism, because I want my president to stay in power because he represents my interests. And that is the reason why I am actually fighting to collectively dismantle my own democracy for my daddy, Donald Trump, because I hate my parents. They remind me of authoritarianism. That's the reason why I actually voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Actually, by this guy's logic, I actually voted for Donald Trump because this system was rigged, the election was rigged, the Democrats stole it, Dominion system stole it. During the tabulation process, there was a time where Donald Trump was winning by a lot, then losing by a little, and that's whenever the Democrats rigged it. And for this reason, I cast out in our entire electoral process from here on out. I will actually favor dismantling our democracy altogether because I want Trump. If that means foregoing my rights to participate in a free and fair election from this point forward, so be it. If that keeps my guy in office, I'll take it. That's literally what this motherfucker just said, chat.
Do you like cops?
I don't like cops, but I fucking am grateful that they're here. I mean, I stay away from cops. I try to fucking basically be as law abiding as I can, and basically try to not when I get stopped for anything, I try to be respectful as possible and to get out of the situation.
Well, you're saying Biden voters are anti-authoritarian, but Biden himself is like a mass incarcerator to a huge degree, so he's definitely an authoritarian.
Well, I mean, the facts are obviously
they're both
but he's also on the way out. I mean, he's got a gun to his back.
So you think Biden is an authoritarian?
Biden's the last. He's like a cardboard cutout.
So who's the anti-authoritarian that is going to ultimately...
Oh, Kamala Harris.
You think she's an anti-authoritarian? You ask people in Oakland about that?
I mean, they're power hungry. They're power mad. Yeah. They think that they're starting up. They're putting their friends in positions. There's a whole. It could be. There's lots of conspiratorial agents that come from everywhere around the world. I feel like
Kamala Harris seems pretty centrist and maybe even a little bit right. I mean, she used to be the DA in SF in Oakland. She was locking people up like crazy.
If she believes in law and order, she would crack down on all the fucking cancel culture that was going on.
I guess for lack of a better word, when did you kind of become more red pill?
I was red pilled the whole time, man. Yeah, I was always like my own fucking. I don't call it red pilled. I mean, it was just I was an outsider then. Then it's sort of like some aspects of me got sort of like accepted and integrated, and sort of like I influenced bands, and like there's like a whole styles. I mean, I think like a lot of like sort of like the queer stuff was inspired by it. I mean, I was a cross-dressing. I was a pretty bitch when I was younger. Like I was just totally fucking hanging it up and I was a prettier girl than I was a handsome guy. Let's put it that way. I always was like.
Do you still cross-dress?
No.
How come?
No, because I don't feel hot. I don't feel like a pretty girl. If I felt like a pretty girl, I would do that. I just feel like an ugly girl.
Anything else you want to say to the world before we wrap up?
It's been nice knowing you guys. See you in hell.
Wow. I don't know how to bounce back from that, Chad. That was a really difficult interview. I got really heated. I got really upset watching that. I'm sorry. I usually try to keep it chill. I got a little out of sorts there. We're going to need a wellness check. All right, Chad.